7-miler, and also one of our defending milers is back with us as well. But let's get started. As you guys get settled in, I'd like to introduce the president in his first year of the board of directors of the Falmouth Road Race, Inc., Mr. Jeff Nickerson. Jeff?
Thanks very much, Tony. Very happy that you guys are all here. Welcome to Falmouth 2018. It's my first year as president, and I'm very pleased to say that Scott Gelfie, our immediate past president, is still on the board. So when I screw stuff up, I've got a good resource in Scott so he can redirect me. We've got sponsors, of course. New Balance is our principal sponsor. Big thanks to them. Chris Montross is here from Aetna, as well as Oz Mondahar from Spalding. We appreciate the sponsorships from those organizations and from all the others who support us and let us do what we do. The board is also here. We have Don Itachi in the front row, Karen Bissonette, Bob Antonucci, seen Scott. I think we're missing Jeff Cutter and Carl Cavosa. So we're really proud of what we've been able to do through this race. Since 2012, we've given back $2 million to our community. And we really appreciate everything that all of our sponsors do and that all of our runners do to let us do that. Last year, the Numbers for Nonprofits program gave back $4 million. We have the pleasure also of really being able to welcome some great athletes here with us today. One of those went to what happens to be the greatest college in the world, and she ran for the best collegiate track program in the country. I'm partial. It's Dartmouth, and it's, of course, Dana Giordano. And actually, I ran with Dana for a few steps a few years ago over on Church Street in Woods Hole. So she's here today because 10 years ago, she had cancer surgery up in Boston at Children's. And in memory of that, she made a goal of trying to raise $10,000 for cancer research. I'm proud to say she made that goal, and I'm happy to introduce Dana.
Thank you very much, and go Big Green. This race is very special to me because I have so many ties to Falmouth and Woods Hole. My mother grew up going to Woods Hole every summer. My grandfather was a professor at UC Irvine, and he would put up his summer lab at Woods Hole at the Marine Biological Laboratories every summer. Prior to 2008, I was not a runner at all. I did other sports, soccer and hockey, and I had never run the road race. It was just one of those things that came in and out, and they shipped in a lot of porta potties, and then they were gone. You know, we didn't really know what was happening during the race. In the summer of 2008, I've always been a smaller person, but I was pretty excited that my shorts couldn't button. And I was like, yes, puberty, let's go. Ready for high school. This is it. Turns out that a 5-pound cancerous tumor was growing in one of my ovaries, and because we live in this area, I'm from New Jersey, but come here every summer, that we have these resources of all the special hospitals that are in Boston. And the back call went out, and 5 people called Dr. Mark Loffer at Children's, who was my grandmother's paper boy growing up. And being one of the leading pediatric gynecologist surgeons, they couldn't handle my case down at Falmouth, and then went up and had a surgery a couple days later. So completely, thought I was completely healthy after that, decided I want to run for Boston Children's for the first year to give back and run the race, and found out that I had to have another surgery, and I had another smaller cyst the next summer. So I was pretty disappointed and felt like I was letting my sponsors down, but Mark Laufer gave me the green light to run the road race, and I ran 3 weeks after my second surgery. Run is a generous term, so let's not look up that result. But 10 years later, I've accomplished a lot in that time. I went to Dartmouth College. I was a multiple-time All-American. I've qualified for the U.S. 1,500-meter final this past summer. And for me, running is all about improving what you've done and kind of sharing what running is to the rest of your community. So we don't have the largest fan base, some people might say, but I think that's completely wrong because so many people run every day, and just showing by the number of people who show up for this race. And I went to the children's dinner the other night up in Boston, and this woman told an amazing story about how she was a conjoined twin. And I was like, 5-pound tumor, who cares? Like, we do not. That's so Children's Hospital of Boston does so much, and they're only one of the charity partners that contributes to Falmouth road race as well as all the other races across the country. So I was very happy to have a lot of friends in the running community who have shared my story and hit $10,000, which is a large amount of money to fundraise. So I'm really proud of that, and I'll be rocking the Children's Hospital singlet this next weekend, and hopefully next year I'll be back for the Falmouth Mile. So thank you very much, and enjoy the race.
Thank you, Dana. And as we can hear from Dana's side of the story, that this began purely as a sport, and next thing you know, it turned into one of the great charity fundraising activities in the world. I think every year more than $1 billion is raised by races all over the United States. It's just a beautiful part of the sport. I know one of the other numbers for nonprofits that's very important here for the New Balance Falmouth Road Race is the Martin Richard Foundation, and somebody who is very close to that is our now 7th year race director, Mr. Dave McGilfrey. Dave?
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I would agree with Dana as even though this race is noted worldwide as one of the most competitive road races and one of the most iconic ones, the thing that a lot of people don't recognize is the philanthropy involved with this race. And I must admit, and I'm not saying this because they're here, but 99% of that is because of the board of directors. It's pretty amazing that even though they retain some of us to move the road cones and make sure people go in the right direction, their ultimate goal too is to make sure they give back to this community and give back to those who are less fortunate. So kudos to the entire board for having that as their vision and as their passion regarding the New Balance Falmouth Road Race. Tony did mention the Martin Richard Foundation. As you know, young Martin died in the bombings in 2013, and when that happened, I said to myself, what can I do now? And every race I've run since 2013, I've won the MR8 singlet. And I actually decided to do this crazy event called the World Marathon Challenge, where you run 7 marathons on 7 days in 7 continents, and did that in February. And by the way, has anyone here been to Antarctica? Raise your hand. From Matt West, that's about it. It's a really great vacation place if you want to bring 32 books with you to read. But no, there's going to be a panel on tomorrow. There's 5 of us from the area out of 50 from around the world who actually participated in that. So there must be something in the water here. The other panels with Bill Rogers in it and Frank Shorter, and I think Rod Dixon might be here, and Steven, Sambu, and Tatiana, and Desi, and the Hoyt. So we've got all the legends here to entertain the runners tomorrow at the expo. Tomorrow, Saturday, the SBLI Family Fun Run is at 4 o'clock, followed by the Etna Falmouth Elite Mile. So another great field put together by Matt Auger. And again, on Sunday we have the countdown. I can't believe this is now the 5th year of the countdown, where what we did was we looked at the historically, in the last 10 years, how the men winner and the women winner did time-wise, and then we look at the field that's going to participate on Sunday, and then we calculate a delta difference, and it came to 3 minutes this year. So with a 10-minute differential in the start times, what we do is take that 10 minutes, subtract the 3, gives us 7. Once the first woman crosses the finish line, we put the clock on at 7 minutes, and it counts down. And if the male winner crosses the finish line before it hits 0, he wins. If not, she wins. And now Caroline's going for her 3rd in a row, female. So we've had 3 women and 1 male win in the last 4 years. And lastly, the weather. What's up with the weather? In the last 6 races I've directed, the weather has presented itself as a significant challenge. So something's going on out there in the world today. Tomorrow looks like thunderstorms in the 70s for the events in the afternoon. So we're going to have a 4 o'clock meeting this afternoon and discuss that, how best to deal with that. And on Sunday, unfortunately right now it looks like a little rain, but at least maybe the heat won't present itself as it has in the past here. So, lastly, one more thing from me. Even though I'm the race director of this race now, I have been a runner in the Falmouth Road Race for a long, long time. And 40 years ago, I ran across the country for the benefit of the Jimmy Fund. And every day when I was running across the country, it took me 80 days, I mailed a postcard. That's all 80 of them. Every single day I mailed a postcard home. And I mailed it to the kids at the Jimmy Fund. And I just looked, today I just looked and see what 40 years ago today, where was I and what did I say? 40 years ago today, I was in Gateland, Pennsylvania. I ran 50.2 miles, and I wrote, "This country is sure hilly. Physically, I'm doing well, but these hills aren't helping matters. Is anyone running Falmouth this year? I know I won't be, but I sure miss Falmouth. It's the greatest road race in America." 40 years ago, I wrote that from Pennsylvania. I thought that was pretty poignant. Thank you.
Thanks. Exactly. The Great American Road Race. Even 40 years ago, we knew it. We could sense it. And one reason that happened, the second year there is, I was talking to Jeff and Scott and some other people earlier, and we were saying, what if Tommy had been bartending in Chatham? We wouldn't even be here. I mean, talk about luck of the draw, right? Well, God bless Tommy. Just turned 85 a couple of days ago, and the true spirit of this race. But when Tommy was sitting up this hill here at the Brothers Four watching Frank Shorter win the 1972 Olympic gold medal, and he was looking at the powder puff clouds off over the sound toward the vineyard, and he realized, I want to start a road race. And the second year, he got Steve LaCory, who was the brother of Marty LaCory, America's top miler, who was over on the European track circuit. He says, oh, would Marty come and just do like a fun run, just come on to Falmouth because you have a nice big name, run the race. So Steve got a hold of Marty. He says, it's just a fun run. You just come on over here and, be no big deal. Well, there was a young up-and-coming regional caliber runner who was very quickly on the rise named Bill Rogers, who just completely waxed Marty. I mean, just destroyed him in that race. And because Marty had the big name, the Boston Globe had a big story about the local runner who beat the big star. And Marty says, I'm a miler, for God's sakes. I mean, a distance guy beat me. But the bottom line was that was the first time we saw like big coverage of Bill Rogers. That was in 74. In the spring of 75, he won the bronze medal at the World Cross Country Championships in Rabat, Morocco. And 1 month later, he set the American record at the Boston Marathon, the first of his 4 titles. This is the 40th anniversary of Dave being in Pennsylvania. It's also the 40th anniversary of Bill Rogers' last of 3 victories here at the Falmouth Road Race. And I'd like to bring up Jeff Nickerson one more time for a special presentation with Bill.
Sure, that'd be great. So, Bill, we're thrilled that you're here again, and we'd like to give you this official race poster to commemorate your 40th. And as always, thanks for coming back. We love having you in Falmouth.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, can you pose this photo?
Oh,
Make sure we get some shots.
I'm pretty wired. Ours was. Film's different. Stephen knows.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. Congratulations, Bill, and thank you, Bill. And now let's get down to the racing for this year. Matt Auger, who has put great fields together for both the 7-miler and the mile as well. And the mile, what a great tradition it's turned into. It turned about like an augmenting race, and now it's turned to a big deal all on its own, a great tradition. And I think we have our defending champion, Craig Engels, back with us. Craig, can we invite you up to the front? An Ole Miss grad, defending champion, 7th at the World Indoors in 2018, now a member of the Nike Oregon Project or a member of the New England Patriots, who waited too many more months to beat the Eagles, but did so last night in a meaningless preseason game. Wrong time, guys. But Craig, welcome. And I believe Sarah Brown is with us as well. Sarah Brown, from now living in Hingham, representing Team New Balance, fourth in this race in 2014, a former four-time NCAA champion at the University of Tennessee. Are Hassan here? No, and Corey is. Well, let's get started. Oh, kids. Sarah, nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Let's start with, well, Sarah, you've got the microphone. Living in Hingham now. Of course, we were San Diego people in our day. So how do you like New England?
I like it. It's more humid than I was expecting, but the snow wasn't too bad this past winter, so I've really been enjoying it.
Oh, sounds like a joy. So talk about there's so few racing opportunities in America in the late summer for track athletes. Talk about how this race really helps fill that gap.
You know, I love being able to race a competitive field on American soil. We have such great competition. And, you know, for a lot of summers, everyone tries to go overseas and go to Europe, but I think there's just something about being able to stay on your, like, home turf. And these races especially, like, I love how people come out, they're on the track. It's not necessarily like some big stadium. Like, they're down there, they're with you, and it just brings an intimacy to it that I personally really enjoy, and I thrive off that kind of atmosphere. So I really enjoy the atmosphere that it creates, and then, like you said, the opportunity on American soil.
That's great. Craig, let me ask you, you, among others, just had a PR, 355.12 in Raleigh at the Sir Walter Myler race on August 3rd. That's another new event that's grown up in the last couple of years, and it, like Falmouth, has really spurred you guys. I mean, yourself, Hassan Mead, he was just behind you. He's got a PR as well. So talk about that. I mean, you have an opportunity here. What kind of, you obviously have to be in pretty good shape running a PR, but at the same time, there's something about being defending champion that raises expectations not only for us, but for you as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. I, just like Sarah, I really enjoy these domestic competitions. You go to Europe and you go to Belgium and do these races that are like meaningless. No one knows who you are. But here, last weekend at Sir Walter, there was 3,500 fans there watching, which was unreal. I've never seen that at like a little track meet like that. But I date a girl that's British, and she was like super confused about host families and stuff. And that's like one of my favorite things. I have like the best host family ever here, and they let me borrow their Gronkowski jersey. But I mean, these domestic competitions are unreal, and I absolutely love it. And it's cool that I could come back to Falmouth, which is one of my favorites, and be defending champion. Hopefully I can maintain that title, so we'll see, yeah.
Well, last year you beat Nick Willis, a two-time Olympic medalist. So it's not like, I mean, Matt puts fields together. The way you honor a champion is by bringing in fields good enough to beat them.
Yeah, here's Hassan himself, the man that... Yeah, Matt puts together an awesome field for this race. Obviously, he just ran 355 last week. Ben Blankenship's run 352. It's going to be a really good field tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes, yeah. Great.
Okay, we want to introduce Hassan Mead, who's just joining us, showing his speed down the alley there. Eight-time All-American at the University of Minnesota, also ran a PR 355.61 August 3rd at the Sir Walter Myler in Raleigh, but 2016 Olympian at 5,000 meters. Hassan, welcome.
Thank you.
Better late than never.
Sorry,
So
folks.
you're you've won the 10,000 meter national championship. You're a 5,000 meter Olympian, but you're running the mile. Which one of these is your favorite?
Well, I like the 5 a lot. I think with being at 3 miles, you get to 2 miles and you pretty much almost all out. And then the last mile is kind of defined, what kind of toughness you got in you and how well you were disciplined. So I like the 5K, but I'm still new to the 10K, so that one always gets the best of me. But mile is fun. I get to race guys that are really good friend of mine that are, mainly 1,500 meter to 3,000 meter runners. So when I get a chance to take a shot at guys like Craig and my buddy Pat Casey and Ben Blankenship, I stir a little bit. I'll be like, oh, you guys gonna let a 5K guy come in and be close to you. So I enjoy it, but at the same time, it's something that I have to have. It's a tool that I gotta have to be effective in the 5,000 meters. So, but I enjoy it. It's fun.
Well, tell me about what that 355 August 3rd says about the condition you're in.
I think since I'm pretty good. I think since things have been going well. We're kind of heading towards the end of the season for us, unless you made it to the Diamond League final or not. So, I had a little hiccup towards the January and February in that period of the year. So, right now things are kind of start clicking. That 2-3 months that you miss are kind of starting to get going now. So, when I ran the 355, I was very pleased. I think. I could have gone a little faster, I think, but we just had such a very stacked field that there was no space to move around, and that kind of I think cost me about a second or so. But I was still very pleased, and I had a good time.
Well, maybe we'll give you a little open space on Saturday around the Falmouth High School track as well.
There you go.
So let's give them all the luck in the world. Hassan, Sarah, and Craig. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Here you go, Hassan. Appreciate it. No worries. Appreciate it. And now we'd like to bring up our wheelchair champions, our defending champions. First of all, let's start with the young man. He just turned 20, lives in Urbana, Illinois. And I was a St. Louis native, and I think he asked the same, although he's originally from Maryland. And those of us if you come from the Midwest, you always ask your parents, did you just run out of money heading west? Why would you stop there? Is it the quality of the mosquito population? Anyway, but one of the great programs for wheelchair athletes in the world, probably the best, is in the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. And Daniel Romanchuk is one of the new bright shining lights, and he's our defending champion here at Falmouth. Daniel, can you come on up? And joining him, a many-time champion here at Falmouth and the greatest female athlete in wheelchair racing history, 18-time Abbott World Marathon Major champion, 4 Grand Slams in a row, which means in the spring she wins Boston and London, then Chicago and New York in the fall, just weeks apart. She's a 17-time Paralympic medalist, 10-time 14-time actually, world champion medalist, Tatiana McFadden. Welcome. Daniel, we were just talking a little bit earlier that you're coming up at just one good thing after another with you. You're coming in sort of hot earlier this year, both in May and June. You set a couple world records. Tell me what distance and where you did it.
So the 800 and the 5,800 was in Arizona at the Desert Challenge, and the 5,000 was in Switzerland.
And then you were at the Utica Boilermaker 15K in Utica, New York, just one month ago, and you won that race as well. We were just talking to Hassan Mead, and he was talking about how he primarily likes the 5,000, but has done well at the 10 and also the 1,500. But also there's this range that wheelchair athletes have as well. What's your real wheelhouse? What distance is the one you love most?
Like the shorter ones, still trying to figure out how the strategy and everything works with the marathons. So like the shorter, slightly longer.
He's good at everything.
No, I know exactly. Well, so are you, young lady, Tatiana. Last year you were coming in. You had a serious illness where you had blood clots and you couldn't run races you had dominated before. And like all athletes, once you come off that peak, it is hard to get yourself back up. You forget how long it takes to, like Hassan again was saying, you have a couple hiccups earlier in the year, and it takes months and months and months to get yourself back to that level. Talk about where you are right now and where Falmouth has always played into your race plans.
Yeah, last year was tough. It usually takes about 18 months to recover from a blood clot. Unfortunately, I had that. A lot of athletes have it, and it's something that you just have to, takes time to heal and recover. But I've had such a great year this year, winning Boston Marathon in the conditions that it was. And Falmouth is always really special to come back because my grandparents met here, which was a little like tie in the family history. My mom's here today. And I'm really looking forward to Sunday because I've been training here all summer with my internship as well. And the training has been amazing, just really focusing on the climbs, up and down, as well as the turns. So I hope to get a course record on Sunday. I've been kind of really focusing on a little bit of my weaknesses going down the hill, so I've been really focusing that. And yeah, looking for a fast race and hopefully no rain.
Tatiana, talk to me a little bit about this internship you're talking about at Boston Children's Hospital. As you now at age 29, is that correct? At least you're looking forward now. We know that wheelchair athletes have very long careers. I mean, guys like Krieger Shabort in his mid-50s is still really a solid player. But talk about your other career that you're looking toward.
Yeah, I've always had a balance between school and athletics, and so I'm finishing up my master's program in child life. So you work with critically ill children in hospital settings, and you help the patient and the family cope. So this summer I've been working at Newton Wellesley in the ER and the OR and inpatient, and I've also been working at Spalding Rehab Hospital. And it's been an amazing experience. It's been, I think, an education for our community on what disability is and the next steps for those children to take as well, and help them kind of get re-involved with their community. And I've always enjoyed that. But I'm not going to stop racing. I am definitely focused on 2020, and this year I hope to do 6 marathons. It'll be the first time in history that I've done that, getting a 6-star. So I'm really looking forward to a great and exciting year.
That's great. Wonderful story. One thing for you, Daniel, I was told that back when you were 15, you ran your first Falmouth road race, and one of your mentors, Krieger Shabort, the guy we mentioned earlier, one of the great wheelchair athletes, showed you how to fix a flat tire. So tell me that story and how it kind of shocked you were. Runners, we don't get flat shoes, but you guys do get flat tires, and you got to be a mechanic as well as a racer. Tell me about that.
So it was in the stairwell of our hotel. He got in his chair, put all the air out of his tire, and changed his tire in his chair in around 50 seconds. I was in awe of his capabilities.
Have you had a flat in racing competition, had to put that into play then?
I have been quite fortunate so far not to have done that recently.
So you've been free of that. But you know how if you have to.
I do know how to.
Well, that's important. Hope it doesn't happen on Sunday, that's for sure. Let's thank Daniel and Tatiana for their appearance, and all the best of luck during the race. Thanks so much. Thanks all. And I'd like to bring up 3 of the runners in the 7-miler that are going to be competing, and somebody who's not competing but will be running in the 7-milers. Let's begin with a young man who grew up in Worcester, went to Wachusett High School, then went to the University of Syracuse, where this year he was a member of the NCAA cross-country national champions under Coach Chris Fox, Colin Penny. Colin Penny is also 4th place 2 weeks ago at the Beach to Beacon up in Maine. Colin, congratulations on that. Nice to see you. On the women's side of the issue was a defending champion from Kenya, been racing on the track, and she actually has said, just like Tatiana, maybe taking a shot at the course record, which was set back in 2000 by Lorna Kiplagat. This is Caroline Chepkoich. Caroline, welcome. And our 4-time, the only man to win 4 straight Falmouth road race titles, he's getting him sort of beginning his season. We'll talk about that a little bit as well with Mr. Stephen Sambu. Stephen, welcome all. Stephen, 2 weeks ago you were second at the Beach to Beacon 10K. You had not been running a lot. You were 3rd at the BAA 10K in June, a race you've won 3 times before. But seasons sort of stack up, and so you're just getting started. What are you heading toward, and how does Falmouth play into that?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Falmouth Road Race Organization, for welcoming me again for the 5th time. Because Falmouth is very important for me because now I'm getting ready for Chicago Marathon. So I'm using Falmouth to be like for my speed, because I've been doing a lot of mileage. So this Falmouth is very important for me always. I always enjoy coming here. So so about this year has been really tough for me because I started with the New York half marathon, which was really cold, and then I went to Boston Marathon, which was so tough. And then again, I went to Beach to Beacon was so humid, so it has been really tough. So but there's nothing you can do with the weather. So we're just gonna do it. So my next race after Falmouth this weekend is I'm getting ready for Chicago Marathon. So about this weekend, so it's going to be really tough for me because it's going to be my 5th time, and I've been winning fourth straight. So it's going to be really challenging because too much pressure for me. Everybody's expecting me to win, but I'm ready. But I'm feeling good. But I don't know what will happen this weekend.
Well, you won by like a hair's breadth last year against Leonard Career, who's coming back this year. I mean, they had the same finishing time, and last week he got second place in a kick with Ben True. So you always get pushed everywhere you go. You get pushed.
Yeah, a lot of that's
What is
really
it
tough.
about? What is it about you?
For me, like I don't give up. I just fight until the end. So people, I can lose, but I don't lose like easily. I lose.
That's a great way of putting it. Caroline, the opposite last year for you. You won the race by a minute. I mean, just dominated the race. How was your condition this year? I know Barbara Hubner was saying that you've been on the track. You ran a personal best at 1,500 meters. I see here in 29th of June, in 19th of May at the Adidas Boost Games in Boston. You ran under. You're in 15:55, and there you told Barbara that I'm coming to Falmouth to try to set a course record. The last race I saw you, it was in Rabat, Morocco, 13th of July, where you ran under 15 minutes for 5,000 meters. So it seems like you're sharp, in good track shape. Will that translate well to Falmouth?
Okay. Thank you so much for welcoming again to Falmouth. I'm so happy to be back and to defend my title. For the course record, I want to try my best because I have a strong team like Mary Wasera.
Yeah, Mary Wasera, who was second last year, is also back this year.
Yeah, but I will try my best.
Do you have the condition? Are you in good shape?
Not bad.
This is somebody, keep those cards close to the chest. Not bad means I'm ready to kill him. Well, Colin, let me ask what kind of shape Colin's in. Colin, I know coming off a great performance, 4th place at the Beach to Beacon, Joni's race up there in Maine. That's always just like Falmouth, great fields. That was your pro debut, and I'm not sure if it was or not, but one of the first races you've run since getting out of Syracuse. How was that performance? How's it set you up for Falmouth?
One career, I was 8th place actually.
8th?
4th American, so.
4th American,
don't want to be too.
but top 10 still. Top 10's top 10.
I want to lower everyone's standards of me for this weekend anyway. But no, it was great like that. Same as this race, everybody takes pride in the race up there at the Beach to Beacon, and everyone here, between Dave setting up everything for this race with Tommy and all that. Everybody loves the race, and I'm excited to be part of it. Really happy to be here, and it's gonna be my first time running Falmouth, even though I'm from Massachusetts. But I've heard nothing but great things, and really excited for the course and the competition.
Did you follow the race at all when you were a young guy? Did you know about Falmouth? I mean, you were too young to know about the days when Bill and Frank used to duke it out on this course. But did you pay attention every year to Falmouth?
Yes, yeah, no, I had plenty of friends and family who would always run it, and they'd always talk about people out in front who, they were happy if they could see them after the first mile. I never got to run the high school mile, but I always hoped I could. Never worked out with my training or with family vacations and stuff like that. But I always knew it was a great event, and so I'm happy to be here and happy to finally get to take it all in.
Well, we hope you get top 10 again on Sunday as well. So let's thank Stephen and Caroline and Colin, and we'll bring Desi. Why don't you come up here? We're talking about bad weather at Boston. Well, here's someone who didn't mind the bad weather. Let's welcome our Boston Marathon champion, Des Linden. Two-time Olympian. Des, you're kind of living the dream. I mean, Shalane Flanagan, our New England's own Shalane Flanagan, sort of did that at New York City, and she just announced that she's going back to New York this November. What's it been like? I mean, has it been hard to get back and be a competitor when you're still being feted as the Boston Marathon champion the first time in 3 decades for an American woman?
It's been busy. I have a lot of frequent miles racked up, so I've been here, there, everywhere. We kind of gave ourselves a hard stop for the appearances and the fun stuff, and I'm back in the full swing of training now. Not quite ready to compete with these guys over 7 miles. That takes a whole different type of training, but I am gearing up for New York City, so I'll do Falmouth Road Race as part of a 18-mile run. And so I'll jump in with the masses. I think I get to start the women's race, the official starter, and then I'll jump in with the masses and finish off my long run and high-five some people and take in the sights. It's absolutely beautiful here. So it was a great way to put in an iconic race and a bucket list race for me, but also kind of wrap up the world tour of this Boston celebration. So it's been a great problem to have.
Des, talk about the reemergence of the American, not just being competitive, but winning now major races. Tenacity, tenacious, it seems to be a word that seems to describe you guys. It's been a slow buildup. I mean, you've been at this for quite some time, but always right in the hunt, and now you finally sort of broke through. Shelby Houlihan on the track is doing the same thing, just set the American record at 5,000 meters over in Europe this year. It's just like we see it time after time. Any explanation for that?
Yeah, it's momentum. I think success breeds success, and you see it a lot on a smaller scale in the training groups here. And you go out and work out with people every day, and they have a breakthrough race, and you go, well, I did every workout she did. Why can't I have that success? And then, the next training partner has a breakthrough race, and all of a sudden the group just gains more and more energy. I think you see that with the Hanson's group, with the NAZ group, with the Bowerman group, and we're having people break through all the time, and then it's across groups now too. Well, Shalane won New York. Why can't Amy PR in Tokyo and go head-to-head with those guys? Why can't we win Boston? And so I just think we're really pushing each other to new levels. And not to take away from the past, obviously having icons like Joni and Dina setting it all up for us was a great place to start.
Well, it sounds very much like how they in training in Kenya, Stephen, where there's big groups train together, and the next thing you know, it's like, I always say, it's like cutting your blade on a bigger wheel. You can really do a fine job of that. And that's what goes back to the days of Billy and Frank at the Colorado Track Club, Florida Track Club, Billy, Greater Boston Track Club. And it seems the resurrection of the club seems to really be doing the job. So what a great set of athletes we've got here. 1 fun runner and 3 real contenders. Let's wish them all well. Thanks all.